Welcome to Waylander's Wandering, where today I'm going to be showing you how I painted Asajj Ventress for Star Wars Legion, hopefully using mostly the new Vallejo Express colour paints, but where we can't, we'll use something else, won't we? So without further ado, let's crack on and mix up the colour for Asajj's skin. For Asajj's skin, we're going to try and mix up a pale grey with a touch of purple. And to get this, I'm going to drop a couple of dibs of Express Colour Space Grey, a couple of dibs of Templar White to bring the paleness back, and off in the corner we are going to put a little drop of Gloomy Violet, which we will add to try and get the colour up. So let's get on with this and hope we get a nice colour. So bring the grey and the white together. More white, or the white, still a little dark there, I think. Add a little bit more of the white, so another couple of drops. Mix that in. We're starting to get the pale colour that we're looking for. And to get the purplish sheen Asajj has on her skin, take a brushful of the violet, throw it in, see what we get. And I think that that is going to be about right. So, taking the miniature, we will start with Asajj's head, because it's the big skin part, and throw this colour on, relatively heavy, but you know, as usual, not so much that it pools everywhere. And because we're going to try all of this with contrasts, we will definitely be trying not to get any paint in areas that we don't want to be this skin tone. Though if you do, or if I do, it is easy enough at this stage to rectify any mistakes by simply going over that area again with a white paint. In this case, I have undercoated the miniature using matte white from Colourforge, so anything that colour matches that, you'll be fine to fix any mistakes. So I will carry on painting Asajj's skin, and I will bring you back in when we've got all this done. With the skin now done, it's time to move on to Ventress's robe, for which I am going to be using, again, Vallejo Express Colour Deep Purple. So I'll get a few drops of this onto the old palette and see where it goes. Again, at this stage of the game, we're going to be attempting as much as possible not to get any of this purple onto other areas, but if we do, it is fixable with a simple application of going over it with the white undercoat again and fixing our mistakes. Working with these contrast paints as ever, we want to put it on relatively heavily, but not so heavily it obscures all the detail and leaves those horrible puddles. Thick enough that the actual contrast effect works. So I will paint all the rest of this and bring you back in when I am finished. Now Ventress's dress is finished, it's time to move on to the wrappings around her wrists and abdomen below her bodice. For this, I think we're going to be using Vallejo Express Colour Templar White to give a nice paler contrast against the skin and the dress. So we'll get a couple of drips on the old palette and see where we go from there. Now more than ever, we are being careful not to overpaint onto areas that we've already completed, though we are still trying to put enough paint on that the contrast effect works. So yeah, this bit's fun. So I will stick my tongue out because it aids concentration, as everybody knows. Paint these bits and bring you guys back in when it's all done and I've tidied up any foobar. Now that the wraps around the abdomen and forearms are done, I decided that the Templar White was a little bit too subtle, so I've gone over them again with Space Grey. And the last thing to do with the contrast paints is this tabard front piece here, and probably the back as well, which I'm going to go in with Express Colour Velvet Red. So, as I said for the last few times, get a few drops on the palette and apply liberally to the miniature, getting plenty in there. And again, we'll try not to get any onto the other contrast colour parts and get everything nicely coated. So I will carry on with the front of this, a quick splash on the back, and then we'll bring you in for these final bits and bobs. With the Velvet Red dry, it's now time to get on to the rest of the belt and the lightsaber hilts. And of course, being as one of those is metallic and the other one is going to be black, I can't use my Vallejo Express Colour contrast for these. So I'm going to be using Contrast Black Legion from Citadel for the lightsaber hilts. And for the belt, I'm going to be using Vallejo Model Colour Old Gold. So to begin with, we will get this paint pot open eventually. There we go. Goodness me, that was tight. A couple of drops of the Old Gold on here and apply very carefully to the tabard so that we get the edges here done. So we'll use the edge of our brush rather than the tip to get in and get these downward strokes done. Be careful not to get it all over the place, because this really is getting to the stage where we've got to be a bit more careful now. And fill in the rest of about. So I will paint these goldy bits and the lightsaber hilts, and I will bring you lovely, lovely people in when it's time to address the lightsaber blades. So that'd be nice. With all the gold on the belt and tabard finished, and also the lightsaber hilts blacked out, it's time to get on to that final stage, which of course is the lightsaber hilt. For this, I prefer to use a multiple layer glazing effect, so I will start off with a big old blob of Mephiston red palette and clean my brush so as not to contaminate this Larmian medium. Now I am going to go for around the same amount of Larmian medium on my palette as I have Mephiston red, and now because there's no risk of contamination of the rest of the pot, what I can do is take a bit of Mephiston red and move it somewhere else and add the Larmian medium to bring it down to sort of the level of a glaze, which will be, say, around a little bit more, around that sort of heaviness, so it covers but not massively. Now starting just at the end of the handles, we will paint upwards towards the end, leaving a tiny little bit of white showing. On both lightsabers. Now this needs to be left to dry a little. In warm weather, or closer to the summertime, this works a lot faster because, you know, drying times. But what we will do with subsequent layers is, starting a little further away from the hilt each time, work another layer of the glazed Mephiston red. So I'm going to get on with this, and I'm not going to make you watch it because I'm probably going to be using a hairdryer to speed this up a little bit, and you don't want to listen to that. And I will bring you back in once these sabers are complete. So there we have it, Asajj Ventress for Star Wars Legion, painted mostly with the new Vallejo Express colours and the others that we can see in the image here. So a couple of Citadel contrast, Citadel base paint, and bits and bats. The lightsabers themselves took, I think it was 7 layers of glaze to get that final finish. And I've mounted Ventress onto a base I prepared earlier. If anyone at all is interested on how I prepare these bases and make them for my various painting projects, leave a comment below to let me know, and I will attempt to make a video for you. All the materials I've used today I purchased from, again, my favourite friendly local game store, the wonderful Mighty Lancer Games in Bridlington. So please use the QR code on screen or the link in the down below to use my affiliate link, where Mighty Lancer will give me a pat on the head for being such a lovely boy and buying so much stuff from them and showing it to you guys. I hope you've learned something from this, and what I will say here is the painting techniques can, whilst very good for the Ventress miniature that I've used, would work equally well for Warhammer 40,000 Drukhari or even Age of Sigmar Witch Cult. So yeah, just because I painted a Star Wars miniature, it doesn't mean that these techniques and colour schemes can only be used for Star Wars miniatures. Thank you for staying to the end. Thank you for listening to me. I've been Waylander. You've been absolutely fantastic as always. I love all your faces, and goodbye.